Hi my crafter friends, it's Jeannie Rainey again back in my craft room, and I wanted to share a card that I saw from Rachel Tessman, and this is my take of it. I needed a Valentine card, and this is the Peking Tree Gnome card, and I made mine a Valentine card. So I just wanted to show you how I made this card, and you can go to her YouTube channel if you wanted to watch her video on the Peking Tree Gnome card. But I wanted to share a couple of things that were a little different than she shared. So we're using the Friendly Gnome, the brand new Friendly Gnome stamp set, and it coordinates with the dies, the gnome dies from our previous catalog. I'm also going to be using the Ringed with Nature stamp set, which it was a bundle, and it comes with dies, and it's a hybrid, so it has a texture folder and dies that go together. Today we're just going to be using this one particular die, but I just wanted to show you that you can cut all of the tree rings out at once with one of the dies, but it also has individual tree rings that you can die cut as well as other fun embellishments, tree leaves and mushrooms and other things. So first of all, with this hybrid embossing folder, it is like the dynamic one, or it takes the 4-plate to run it through the embossing machine. But what we're going to do is take this one die and place it, and it fits perfectly into this one. Let's see, did I get it upside down? Probably, of course, because I'm recording. Anyways, it fits right into this one slot here. You have to make sure that the blade side is up. I have my card base that I'm using soft suede, and it is 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. And so where I want my cutout to be, it works perfectly to put my card base right on top. Be careful about where the fold is. And now, then we're going to put this in sideways in our embossing machine. You got to be really careful about the folded edge of the embossing folder. You want to make sure that your folded edge is away from the edge of your machine. So I guess if I put it this way, I'll put the paper in, well, let me get my machine ready first. We're taking out all the plates except for one, plate number 1, and then we're going to place it with the folded edge away from this edge right here, because it could cut. And so as long as you're butting up against this edge with the loose ends of your embossing folder, you'll be safe to run it through. Just be really careful. You don't want to damage your embossing folder. So I run it through, and then it embosses and cuts all in one swipe. So there we go. I'm going to take my embossing machine away, all the plates, set that aside while we work on assembling this card. I am going to go ahead, set this aside while I stamp my gnome. Now this is the one that's got a little Valentine heart with it, so I figure this is perfect for Valentine's Day. Then I'm going to go ahead and color him with blends. Okay, now I've got it colored, and I used the colors Parakeet Party, Tahitian Tide, Poppy Parade, light gray granite, ivory, and the light basic black for his shoes. I wanted to show you a trick that I learned that I love to use, and you can also use it with any of the items that you die cut where they have a white trim around it. Sometimes I don't like the white trim around it, so what I'll do is I'll take one of my lighter colors. You can use light crumb cake, you could use balmy blue, any of the lighter colors. And what I'll do is I'll just trace around the outside of my item that I'm wanting to die cut, lightly trace around it, and that eliminates the white cutting around it, because sometimes when you die cut you don't get your die perfectly straight, and so there might be one side that's got more white than the other. Well, this will make it look less noticeable. So I want to show you on one of the designer series paper that I die cut. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this, and to show you that it just doesn't stand out as much, and so I like the effect that it gives. So like I said, you can use any of the light colors, balmy blue, the light crumb cake. You can even use the light gray. And then it's just not, the white trim around it is just not as noticeable. I'm gonna go die cut this gnome, and I'll show you the effect that it gives. I'll be right back. So you can see I was a little bit off on my die, but it's not quite as noticeable when it's not that stark white. It really covers up that it's not perfect. So let's go ahead and start assembling the card. I'm going to go ahead and take chances and go ahead and glue this on. The flowers that are used in this particular stamp set are going to be stamped in black, and then I'll color them. So in order to place them properly, we'll just place figure out which way it goes in here, and then we will take our flower stamps, and we're going to just kind of slide this away. I stamp it there. You can see it's going to be in the window. Probably could have scooted it up a little higher. But then I'm going to take the little grassy section. I'm going to put it on the side here because that's where my gnome is going to stand. And then I'm also going to take and stamp our little bird friend here. While I'm stamping, I will go ahead and stamp in this sentiment. You can see how well the ink is covering on these photopolymer stamps. Just want to make sure you get a good solid ink. There we go. There's no one better than you. Love you. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and color these, and I've colored with the same colors that I used on my little gnome friend. So I'm ready to assemble the rest of the card. Go ahead with my liquid adhesive, putting it back in the little slot where he goes. Then I'm going to use a couple of dimensionals on my gnome friend, leaving the feet without dimensionals because it's going to be going behind. Then place my little guy in the center of the log. And lastly, I will put some little butterflies just to dress up the front a little bit and give a little bit more on the inside. And these butterflies are the brushed brass butterflies. It just kind of finishes it off really nicely. So there you have it. There's no one better than you. Love you. This will be a great Valentine card. Thanks for watching, and thank you, Rachel Tessman, for sharing this idea.